Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, and where we support each other on our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I am so glad that you've joined us this morning. Welcome to those of you in the room, and welcome also to those of you joining us via our live stream. Before we begin our worship service, I have just a few announcements to share. Thank you to our interim music director, Heather Watson, for being at the piano today. Later in the service, we also have another musical guest, Tom Wilson Weinberg. Welcome, Tom. Tonight's great music concert celebrates Provincetown's Carnival Week theme of summer camp. So we hope you can come back at 5 o'clock to hear some funny, powerful, obscure, and legendary songs from Broadway productions on the summer camp theme. And our big Meetinghouse fundraiser, Drag Bingo, is happening this Wednesday, August 20th. Our theme is also, coincidentally, summer camp. And we're going to transform our lawn into a giant bingo hall and invite the whole town to come in drag or not. Thank you to everyone who has already volunteered to help. We still have a few open slots, so Allison will be downstairs at coffee hour with a clipboard, signing people up for those last needed jobs, mostly during the game itself. And you can also help Barbara and Linda with a little bit of setup today. If you have time during coffee hour, they're going to be putting together supply baskets for the bingo tables. So they'd love your help. So great to have you here, Barbara and Linda. Very kind of you to come all the way back to help us pull this off. First time post-pandemic, and thank you also to Dan, Allison, and Karen, who are also on the bingo committee. The big push now is to get all of your friends to come and play Wednesday night. It truly is a blast, so please help us spread the word. At coffee hour today, we hope you'll stop by our UUMH action table, which I think might be in the hallway today. Each week during coffee hour, we are offering an action that you can take to support our Unitarian Universalist values in the world. Today's action is to buy some raffle tickets. These raffle tickets, which are part of our drag bingo celebration, have some great prizes involved, like hotel stays, restaurant gift cards, and haircuts. All of the proceeds from the sale of these raffle tickets will benefit my minister's discretionary fund. And I use this money throughout the year to help those in our community who are in need. I help to pay rent when people are behind and to pay medical, heating, and mechanic bills when folks fall short. These emergency funds are so important in our community. I am able to say yes when people ask because of your generosity. And we also especially thank all of the businesses in town who have contributed to our raffle prizes, and we hope you will buy an arm's length of tickets. Finally, if you are attending service in person today, we hope you will stick around a little while after the service ends for coffee and conversation downstairs in Acker Bosworth Hall. Let's take a moment now to affirm our Meetinghouse covenant. You can find this printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews, but I'm also going to say it line by line, so you can just repeat each line back to me. Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse. This is our great covenant. To dwell together in peace. To seek the truth in love. And to help one another. Now, as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you who are watching from home to light a candle wherever you are. This way we can feel connected even while we are apart. And this morning I invite our worship host, Shar and Ken, to light our chalice for us.
Good morning. Our chalice lighting words this morning are by Linda Hart. Every day is a new start. Every year a beginning, or so we'd like to believe. And we don't know, can't anticipate where we will go, what will happen, what delights await, what heartbreaks will tear us open, the paths unexpected that open before us. We come here amidst the discoveries and the delights, the worries and woes, to find a moment of connection, of pause on the journey, in gratitude and sorrow. It is good to be together. Thank you.
Won't you please join me now in singing our opening hymn? This morning's opening hymn is number 128, For All That Is Our Life. That's 128 in your gray hymnals, For All That Is Our Life. Please rise as you are able. I invite you to join me now in a spirit of prayer and meditation. During our prayer or at any time during the service, you are invited to light a silent candle at the table to the right of the pulpit, where there is a journal to record your thoughts and prayers. After the prayer, we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn number 123 in the gray hymnals. You can also find the words to this song printed on those same purple laminated cards in your pews. We'll sing it first in English and then in Spanish. As we reach the middle of August, let us take a collective breath. Let us take stock of our summer dreams and recommit to the ones that have not yet come to fruition. Let us savor the hot days and warm nights, storing up that feeling of warmth for later days. Let us dive into cool waters and let the shock of it reset our thinking, relax our monkey minds, wash away anxieties. As we approach the end of summer, let us take a collective breath. Let us slow down and remember where we are. Look up and notice with joy the sunset, the moonrise, the dazzling night sky, the sparkling waters. Let us slow down our reactions to those around us, those who are blissfully unaware of our cars, our needs, our moods. Let us have compassion for them. Wish them well. Wish them a good end to their summers. As we inch toward autumn, let us take a collective breath. Let us energize ourselves for the work of the year ahead, for moving houses and taking risks and finding love and working for justice. Let's allow ourselves hours of rest and play, knowing that the opportunities for them can be rare, knowing that soon we will need all of our strength to heal this broken world, and that we cannot do so unless we have full wells to draw from. As we approach the end of summer, let us take a collective breath and release it slowly. And breathe in again deeply. And release it slowly. Relaxing into our bodies, settling into our seats, coming into the rhythm of the tides, feeling ourselves surrounded by loving community, finding peace. Amen.
Today's reading is called A Song of Believing. It's written by Brian Doyle. As a fan's notes of grace and quavery chant against the dark, I sing a song of things that make us grin and bow, that just for an instant let us see sometimes the web and weave of merciful, the endless possible, the incomprehensible, inexhaustible, inexplicable yes, such as, to name a few, the way the sun crawls over the rim of the world every morning, like a child's face rising, beaming from a pool, all fresh from the womb of the dark. And the way jays hop and damselflies do that geometric aero-amazing thing, and bees inspect, and birds probe, and swifts chitter. And the way the young mother at the bus stop has her infant swaddled and huddled against her chest like a blinking extra heart. And the way seals peer at me owlishly from the surf like rubbery grandfathers. And the way cormorants in the ocean never get caught by onrushing waves, but disappear casually at the last possible second. So you see their headlong black stories written on the wet walls of the sea like moist petroglyphs. And the way no pavement, asphalt, macadam, concrete, cement thing can ultimately defeat a tiny, relentless green thing. And the way people sometimes lean eagerly, face first, into the future, and the way infants finally discover to their absolute agogishment that those fists swooping by like tiny fleshy comets are theirs. And the way when my mom gets caught unawares by a joke, she barks with laughter so infectious that people grin 2 towns over. And the way one of my sons sleeps every night with his right leg hanging over the side of his bed like an oar, no matter how many times I fold him back into the boat of the bed. And the way the refrigerator hums to itself in 2 different keys. And the way the new puppy noses through hayfields like a headlong, exuberant, hairy tractor. And the way my daughter always makes one immense final cookie the size of a door when she makes cookies. And the way one son hasn't had a haircut since Napoleon was emperor. And the way crows arrange themselves sometimes on the fence like notes of a song I don't know yet. And the way car engines sigh for a few minutes after you turn them off. And the way your arm goes totally nonchalant when you're driving through summer with the window down. And the way people touch each other's forearms when they're scared. And the way every once in a while, someone you hardly know says something so piercingly honest that you want to just kneel down right there in the grocery store near the pears. And the way little children fall asleep with their mouths open like fish. And the way sometimes just a sidelong glance from someone you love makes you feel all shaky for a second before you can get your mask back on. And the way some people, when they laugh, tilt their heads way back, like they need more room for all the hilarity in their mouth. And the way hawks and eagles always look annoyed. And the way people shuffle daintily on icy pavements. and the way churches smell dense with hope, and the way that men's pants bunch up at the knees when they stand after kneeling in church, and the way knees are gnarled, and the way faces curve around the mouth and eyes, according to how many times you've smiled over the years. And the way people fall asleep in their chairs by the fire and snap awake, startled and amazed, unsure just for a second what planet exactly they're on, which is a question we should probably all ask far more than we do. Look, I know all too well that the story of the world is entropy. Things fly apart. We sicken, we fail, we grow weary, we divorce. We are hammered and hounded by loss and accidents and tragedies. We slide away into the dark oceans behind the stars. But I also know that we are carved of immense, confusing holiness. That the whole point for us is grace under duress. That you either take a flying leap at nonsensical, illogical, unreasonable ideas like marriage and marathons and democracy and divinity, or you huddle behind the brooding wall. I believe that the coolest things cannot be measured, calibrated, calculated, gauged, weighed, or understood, except sometimes by having a child patiently explain it to you, which is another thing that should happen far more often than it does. In short, I believe in believing, which doesn't make sense, which gives me hope.
She should definitely get applause for that one. So now is our time for all ages, and I have brought my Wonder Box with me today. I wonder what's in there. Were any of you here last week? Someone extremely kind rewound this ball of yarn for me. When I opened the Wonder Box today to put my new wonderful thing in, I found this and I was very happy. But this is the other thing that is in there today. It's a little book that my mother gave me, and it's called Simple Graces for Every Meal by Ingrid Goff Madoff. And we keep this on our dining table, and sometimes before we eat, we'll just flip a page and pick one at random to read before a meal. I've just randomly opened. The recipe for the bounty before us includes part luck, part hard work, part cooperation, part passion, part talent, part hunger, and without an equal part gratitude, it would not taste as delicious. So sometimes we use this, and sometimes we just go around the table instead of having a formal grace, and we say one thing that we are grateful for. And we did that with the kids that were staying with us this week, and that was a lot of fun, but it just helps to recenter us before we enjoy a meal, to put us into a heart of gratitude. It's a very easy practice. It doesn't have to be terribly religious, and it can be practiced by anyone. Why don't we just call out some things that we are grateful for this morning? It's okay if we speak over each other. What are you grateful for this week? Amen. And now is the time in our service where we take a collection for the ongoing support of this meeting house and our shared ministry, as we enjoy a musical reflection by our choir, which this morning is a beautiful song by Melanie DeMore. We welcome your donations here in the sanctuary or online through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, uumh.org. I invite 3 volunteer ushers forward, any 3, to take up our collection. I've put the baskets right here. On and off site, your offerings will now be gratefully received. Let me tell you about the day I had the other day. It was one of those 90-degree days. Ugh, I hate the heat. I'd rather be cold than hot. At least you can put on a sweater when you're cold. There's nothing you can do when you're hot. I didn't have time to make coffee, so I stopped somewhere on my drive for an iced coffee, but it was like drinking dishwater. I know it's been years, but it is very hard to find a good cup of coffee since Lisa sold her coffee shop. There was so much traffic on the way in, bumper to bumper. It took me twice as long as usual to get to Provincetown. And then, once I was here, oh my God, Commercial Street. What a nightmare. Wall-to-wall people. And of course, none of them move. The bicycles are the worst. They ride right at you, like you're the one in the way. The worst part of my job is actually parking in my parking spot out front. It is so stressful. And there was this woman with her dog. And even though she wasn't standing in my spot, she wasn't paying attention to her dog. And he kept stretching his leash toward my parking spot. And I was trying to back in. I mean, it's impossible to back out later, so I always back in the morning. I was so afraid I would hit the dog as I tried to inch my way in. And I was saying, excuse me, out my window, but she was paying no attention at all. Some people just shouldn't have dogs. They're not going to look out for them or pick up after them. Don't get me started on that. Do you know I once saw a bride step in dog dew on our front lawn on her way in? In the middle of this, of course, a parishioner was walking by to witness my meltdown. So embarrassing. By the time I got into the office, I was so stressed. I felt like I'd already put in a day's work. And the day pretty much went downhill from there. But let me tell you about the day I had the other day. It was one of those 90-degree days. We'll be wishing for more of those come winter. I love to go swimming when it's so hot out. Diving into a nice cool pond or the ocean feels so refreshing. I didn't have time for a swim that morning. I didn't have time to make coffee either, so I stopped for an iced coffee on my drive in. It wasn't that good. I'm spoiled. When Lisa's home, she makes me coffee every morning. And she used to own a coffee shop, so she knows what she's doing with the coffee. Such a nice morning treat. There were a lot of cars on the road, so I was moving pretty slowly. It's funny what you notice at slower speeds that you don't take in when you're going faster. I saw a pond that I would like to try through the trees. And then passing Pilgrim Lake with the dunes in the background. Oh, wow. What a landscape. It is breathtaking every time. It doesn't matter how long you've lived here. When I turned onto Commercial Street, the circus was in full swing, only in Provincetown. I wish I had more time to people watch. It's good for the stores that there are so many people in town this month. My best friend owns a store down the street, so I know it's a short season. They need to make all the money they can while folks are here, so big crowds are good. We had 2 kids staying with us this week, and walking down Commercial Street, the little girl said, "Wow, it's like traffic, but with humans." It's hard to pull into my spot, but luckily that morning a parishioner was walking by and tried to help stop traffic while I backed into my spot. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "This is stressful." And he said, "Hold on, I'll help you." I felt so cared for. At the last minute, I almost hit a dog whose owner was distracted, but I didn't. As I put the car in park, I gave thanks for another day of not running anyone over. That's a big accomplishment in the summer. And when I walked up the path, I looked at our shiny white steeple. So many amazing moments that have been celebrated here. Births and deaths, marriages. As I walked in the door, I thought to myself, everyone loves this place. And so do I. Here's a secret. Both stories are true. I've had both of these days. But here's another secret. Both stories can be true on the same day. The key question is, what do we pay attention to? What do we give our energy to? What do we train ourselves to notice? What do we deem worthy of sharing with others? What do we think privately, and what do we speak aloud? What do we hold on to? And what do we let go of? It can make all the difference to a day. It can make all the difference to a life. I imagine you've had both of those days too, or pretty close to it, that you could relate to both stories. When I was telling the story about the first day, I bet you could picture Commercial Street. It was fun telling you about it because misery loves company. Sometimes it helps to vent, to commiserate, to share the pain until you can laugh about it. It's kind of a bonding experience to complain about Commercial Street, right? It's like us against the world. But I bet a few of you were thinking, where's this going? How long do we have to listen to her complain? And maybe a few of you are thinking, I bet that woman just didn't realize about the dog. I hope she doesn't talk about me like that when I'm not there. Perhaps you began to trust me a little less. Maybe I even lost a bit of your respect during that first story. Because while complaining can be fun, it also comes at a cost. Now, I want to make a distinction here between our discontent with what is happening in the world with great consequence and our discontent with what is happening in our day-to-day lives with very little consequence. Now, I am talking about the latter. In 2 weeks, we will be talking about what to do with our feelings of rage on the grander scale. Of course, we should be maladjusted to the injustices happening all around us. I mean, an authoritarian president is militarizing the streets of DC. We need to complain about that and to make our voices heard. But today, I am not talking about that. I am talking about the little things, the daily annoyances that, when focused on, actually zap our energy for the work of healing the world. Our best chance for being useful change agents in a world that needs healing is to be grounded, centered, grateful, connected to that which brings us joy so that we know in our bones what we are fighting for. When we are disconnected from what we love about this world and each other, we are less helpful, less committed, less energized for the work. So if we are serious about being agents of love in this broken world, if we are serious about mending, which we talked about last week, then maybe we need to stop complaining for a minute. Because complaining draws our attention to the negative. It actually empowers the negative and brings about greater negativity. Even though it seems fun sometimes, complaining never really results in joy. It only sinks us deeper into our misery. Complaining also negatively impacts those around us. It spreads. By focusing on and drawing attention to the problems and discomforts around us, we direct other people's energy downward too. If we complain too much over an extended period of time, we drive people away. It just isn't enjoyable to spend time around people who constantly highlight the negatives. So complaining ends up affecting our relationships. And complaining doesn't change things. In fact, it limits our ability to change things by impairing our thinking. When we complain, our brains release stress hormones that cause neural connections in areas used for problem solving to be harmed. So we become less creative and less responsive. And this also happens when we listen to complainers. It's as bad as secondhand smoke, says one expert. Listening to others complain impairs our thinking, changes our mood, and depletes our energy. And finally, complaining leaves us stuck in victim mode. One of the greatest obstacles to lasting change is blame. And complaining finds its foundation almost entirely in blame. An old story tells of a man who joined a monastery where the monks were only allowed to speak 2 words a year, and those were to the abbot. At the end of each year, they were given an audience with him. Having been steeped in meditation and prayer, many of the monks came up with deeply meaningful sets of words. all love, they would say. Everything God. At the end of the novice's first year, however, his words were, bed, hard. At the end of the second year, he told the abbot, food, bad. At the end of the third year, his 2 words were, I quit. I'm not surprised, said the abbot. You've been nothing but wine ever since you got here. In an article called How to Complain Less, Joshua Becker writes, we complain about the weather, the traffic, and the weeds in our yard. We complain about tight clothing, misplaced keys, late airplanes, and the price of gasoline. We complain about our jobs. We complain about nosy neighbors, crying babies, ungrateful teenagers, and lazy spouses. We have become a society quick to complain. Of course, there are times, he says, when notifying someone of an injustice is good and proper. But most of the time, we express feelings of dissatisfaction or resentment simply because it's our natural response. But here's the good news, he says, we can retrain ourselves. We can learn to have new natural responses. One day, Anne Hodgman said to her daughter, you know what I just can't stand about this book? The long passages with no dialogue. Her daughter paused, then said, Mom, are there any books you like? Now it was Anne's turn to pause. How could she ask that, Anne wondered, when everyone knows how much I love to read? But then again, she thought, when did I last compliment a book? In fact, Anne realized, it had been quite some time since she had said anything without a negative twist. The reality of this horrified her. So Anne set herself a challenge. She would stop complaining for a month. And then she thought better of it. How about a week? She negotiated with herself, 7 days of, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Anne kept a journal of her journey. Day 1. It's 11 a.m. I sit down at my desk for a quick review of the comments I've made this morning. Why can't anyone come up with skim milk that tastes good? That exfoliant was a total waste of money. Don't you hate the music on the Weather Channel? 3 gripes since I woke up, and those are just the ones I can remember. Revised plan. Tomorrow, I'll stop whining. Today, I'll just take notes. For example, what's the point of carrying on about the weather? Sure, it's just a conversation starter, but everyone already knows what it's doing outside. Oops. Now I'm complaining about other complainers. Day 2. I have so much work to do, moaned one of my friends on the phone this morning. What about you? Not too bad, actually, I answered. And immediately I felt more in control of the projects looming over my head. Wow, my first victory. Can it be that complaining about work makes it seem like even more of a burden than it already is? Flushed with pride, I decided to tell my family about my new resolution at dinner. For the next week, I'm not going to make a single negative comment, I declared. That's so weird, Mom, said my son. You don't sound like yourself. I know, that's the point. I want to change. I hope they'll recognize me when I've become Mommy Sunshine. Day 3, I had to get a car emissions test today, and I didn't complain to anyone. I just went off and did it. Shouldn't I get extra credit for that? But when I was watching TV with my daughter, we saw an ad for The Biggest Loser, and I couldn't help saying, I don't see how anyone could watch this show. I mean, normally my kids and I bond over criticizing TV, but this was just another negative statement, so I added, on the other hand, I've never seen it. Maybe it's great. My daughter rolled her eyes. Day 4, today I caught myself about to say, I hate it when, and quickly changed it to, don't you hate it when? But I'm pretty sure that's cheating. I've also found another way to cheat. I'll say I hate something and then add, that's not a complaint, that's just an observation. Please stop, my son said. I can't stand you trying so hard not to be negative. But I can't stop. If nothing else, this test is making me realize how often I fuss about things that don't really bother me. Day 5, progress. I've had a headache for a few hours, not a complaint, just an observation. So when the supermarket checkout lady asked, how are you? I could have launched into my sad story, but instead I just replied, fine, thanks. I love your nails. Where'd you get them done? Biting back the real answer didn't cure my headache, but it did improve my self-image. Now I can see myself as the type of person who's friendly to store employees and cheerful in the face of adversity. Day 6. Even when you've put a sock in your complaining, it's not easy to stay positive. Last night, my women's hockey team lost to a rival that I swear is not as good as we are. Back in the locker room, one of my fellow players said, that was fun. And I just looked at her. How could I respond without going on about the refs, the other team, the fact that it was almost midnight? But instead of complaining, I expressed what was really on my mind. I don't know, I don't think it's fun to lose, I said. I feel kind of terrible. Instant connection. She looked at me sympathetically, rubbed my shoulder, and said, I know, me neither. In terms of emotional relief, saying what I really felt worked better than pointless complaining and blaming. Day 7, just when I'm getting the hang of this, the week is up. My takeaway? The experiment forced me to take an extra moment to consider what I wanted to say. And that is something that I plan to keep up. Positive words come to me more naturally now, and I like knowing that I can shift the conversation. I can't say that I've turned into Mommy Sunshine. I haven't brought about world peace either. But I like knowing that in my own way, I'm nudging things in the right direction. One more story. There was once a woman Zen master named Sono who taught one very simple method of enlightenment. Whenever anyone came to her, she advised them to adopt an affirmation to be said many times a day under all conditions. The affirmation was, thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. Many people from all walks of life came to Sono for healing. Some were in physical pain, others were emotionally distraught, others had financial troubles. Some were seeking soul liberation. No matter what their distress or what questions they asked her, her response was always the same. Find an affirmation, try this one. Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. Some people went away disappointed, others grew angry, and many tried to argue with her. Yet some people took her suggestion to heart and began to practice it. And tradition tells that everyone who practiced Sono's mantra found healing, found peace. I learned the story of Sono from Alan Cohen. In his book, Handle with Prayer, he writes that the highest form of prayer is gratitude. And instead of asking God for stuff, he says, start thanking God for stuff. And you will find that you have already been given everything that you could want or need, including the adventure of discovering more blessings every day. Look, I know all too well that the story of the world is entropy. Things fly apart. We sicken. We fail. We grow weary. We divorce. We are hammered and hounded by loss and accidents and tragedies. We slide away into the dark oceans behind the stars. But I also know that we are carved of immense, confusing holiness. That the whole point for us is grace under duress, and that you either take a flying leap at nonsensical, illogical, unreasonable ideas like marriage and marathons and democracy and divinity, or you huddle behind the brooding wall. I believe that the coolest things cannot be measured, calibrated, calculated, gauged, weighed, or understood, except sometimes by having a child patiently explain it to you, which is another thing that should happen far more often than it does. In short, I believe in believing, which doesn't make sense, but which gives me hope. As we seek the spiritual resources to meet this moment, not with despair, but with hope, perhaps we can start with gratitude. Thank you for everything. I have no complaint whatsoever. Today I have a gift for you and a challenge. My gift is that I have for each of you one of these bracelets. They say, you guessed it, thank you for everything. I have no complaints. In a moment, we will be giving these out. But first, here's a challenge inspired by the Complaint-Free World Project. You can come up. I want us to wear these bracelets for a week. And each time during the week that we catch ourselves complaining or being negative, you can give them the baskets, I want us to take off the bracelet and put it on the other wrist. I'm not asking for any drastic changes this week. I'm not even challenging us to stop complaining for 7 days like Anne. I'm just asking that we notice our complaining and negativity, that we become aware. The challenge is to be awake to the comments that we are putting into the world, and when we hear that what we are saying is a complaint, even if it is so valid that we can't help but make it, we should go ahead and change that bracelet over to the other hand for 1 week. And I want you to let me know how it goes. What you choose to do after that is up to you. You can give me back the bracelet. You can pass it on to someone else. You can keep wearing it. You can try not complaining for a week. You can carry your awareness with you for the rest of your life. But let's all begin with this exercise of mindfulness, and let's encourage each other to stick with it. And as you put on your bracelets, if your first thought is, I don't really like this color, go ahead and change it to the other hand. And we're so lucky to have Tom Wilson Weinberg with us this morning. As he plays our closing song, please accept this gift, this spiritual homework. Amen, and blessed be.
Reverend Kate and I thought this song might be just right for today's service. I especially like it because I'm colorblind, and this song is full of color. I see trees of green and roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the blessed day, sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, and also on the faces of people passing by. We see folks we barely know. How do you do? But we're really saying, I love you. We hear babies cry, we watch them grow. They learn much more than we'll ever know. But one thing we know, it's a wonderful world. Oh, yes. We think to ourselves, what a colorful world.
Thank you, Tom. Well, it's become our practice to pose a question based on the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of sharing at coffee hour today or with friends during the week. Or if you'd like to delve deeper into this topic, we invite you to our midweek Zoom coffee hour on Tuesday at 5 p.m. If you're not on our email list, our folk list, and need that Zoom link, please see Kenneth in the office downstairs. Our question this week: what's something you are grateful for this week? It's an easy one this time. What is something you are grateful for this week?
Thank you for being here this morning. I'll close with these words. Every day when I rise, I wake wake up so grateful when I open these eyes, grateful for another day. Thank you for everything. I have no complaint. Go in peace.